Jordan. All right, so we're good. Welcome to this week of Bet Gadget and Beyond the Odds. So let's talk about what happened last week, Gary.
Oh, where to start? Actually, it's been kind of a roller coaster right the last couple of months. Last week, actually, I was putting a message out on marketing guy. Actually, our marketing guy kind of got back to me. Somebody was debating why was it relevant that only like 27% of the home favorites had won over like 3 days or something. And so I was kind of looking through my numbers for last week. I've been like 500. I think I might be down like 4 units or 3 units over the last week. I pulled my bankroll. People love to talk about plus 1.5 or negative 2.3. I just go to my bankroll. The money tells me everything, right? But anyway, so the last week I actually was doing a little bit of research on that, and it's interesting. Am I sharing my screen on here? Okay, making sure we're good on that. So I actually went through like the last week. I'll just answer this with a very simple question. Last 7 days, see my little analytics, analytical models. Bounce down here. I was kind of reviewing this, trying to home teams was a favorite between 11 and 18 over the last, I guess, several days, whatever it was. Negative 12 units, 38% win percentage on home favorites. And I think what happened is, honestly, I think I've got a little bit giddy on the predictive confidence being plus 25 delta. Home team was a favorite, and home team favorites haven't been winning the last week.
I noticed as well.
You lose some money on home favorites?
I might have shadowed you a little bit too much.
Maybe about the opposite when I'm doing that.
Yeah, well, but every time I do that, then you go on a hot streak. So people should do the opposite of what I do.
I've been really streaky on baseball this year. It's really interesting how baseball can be so streaky. I've never seen the streaks I saw in baseball this year.
It has been amazing to watch how that jumps around like that.
I don't expect that in football. I've never seen that many wins in a row or that many losses in a row like football or basketball. I saw baseball.
Yeah. So for anybody that's new joining us today, just kind of a quick overview of what is Bet Gadget, what is the tool, what's it for, and how would you use it?
So how do we? That's a really good question. Sorry, I'm actually on audio back to myself. Sorry about that, guys. Still learning how to use the tech apparently. Working tech, no dropping phones. The reason here's the thing about Bet Gadget. This whole concept actually came by myself and a co-founder. He's been watching me bet. We've been talking about sports betting for 20 years. Like 2004 is the first time we worked together. I was doing spreadsheets back in those days, trying to do analytics and analyze the games and try to figure out trends. And I could never really get it to work because of just the amount of work that goes into the spreadsheet, right? And so really what Bet Gadget came from is us winning money. We wanted money, and I felt like I've done for many years. And he's like, dude, if I can actually build what's in your head, automated will build kind of like a bet bot. So we wanted to build a bet bot. We wanted to build a tool that actually could read the lines, make the bets, and then see it grow money. And what happened actually to kind of answer the question is we built a tool, and we realized the tool really wouldn't be an automated bet bot, but what it was is it allowed people to not just read the lines, pick the teams, but actually get all this data-driven kind of decisioning. So you can do analytics, you can look at historical data on last 7 days, last 30 days, season to season, month to month. All it's really doing is giving you a better idea of the value of the bet. And it's kind of funny because business is on the call. He's one who said value to me a couple weeks ago when I was talking to him. That word just sticks in my head now. It's all about value, especially in baseball. Football, but anyway, the point of Bet Gadget is it's giving you data. It gives you the ability to create the algorithm or create the formula, I should say, where you can actually say, am I reading the line? Am I looking at the team stats? Am I looking at the umpire stats? Whatever it is. You can take all those metrics, build a formula, take that model, run it against historical data, and see how it does, and see how you might do it in the future. And that's powerful.
That is powerful. So if somebody's new like me that's coming into sports betting, so I'm kind of cutting my teeth and learning vis-a-vis your Bet Gadget and your methods. What kind of mindset would you suggest that people use when they're betting, and kind of a best practice to apply?
God, there's so many. I would say the first thing I would do is say start really small with bets, right? $1, $2, get a feel for the bets. It's an emotional roller coaster at times, especially if you make a mistake of betting on your favorite teams you like, because you're betting with your heart. That's kind of a golden rule everybody knows, but always follow. And that thing is, join the communities, get on, our Discord, get on Reddit, get on whatever community you want. There's a lot of people been doing it a long time. You can learn a lot, learn the terminology. Find a friend of the business. I mean, I know that we have a guy here named Trice that's a little bit younger, but he's a little bit newer at sports betting. He's been crushing it the last month. I think he's hitting like 67% of his over-unders. He uses the tool. He's been really successful. He also speaks with another guy who we call Business, and he's kind of been a mentor to him. These guys, they collaborate. That's what the whole point of this tool is. It's a community. You can share models. You can edit models. I can share models. You can add that. See the edits. We can go back and forth. There's a lot of value in collaboration. And I guess that's kind of the key point there is let's collaborate, learn from each other.
Oh, absolutely, because I learned a lot just from the first couple of models I used that you shared with me. You kind of walk through and then, go back and visit the analytics piece of it and other data chunks that are out there to add together. You can mix and choose and pick which key points you want to have in your betting portfolio for that model. That's right. You're going to drive it. And I find it's fascinating to go look at this. It's a lot of fun.
I nerd out on it quite a bit myself. But.
So we had a question that came in one time of what's your position on parlay bets? High risk, high reward. What's your thought?
They're definitely high risk, high reward. I call them sucker bets, but they do pay. Here's the thing. I don't really bet parlays. People bet parlays when they're trying to get out of a hole typically. When you're trying to win big or win quick, and it doesn't pay typically to do that, right? You must buy a lot of ticket, go to the casino, play the slots. But I will say one thing. I do play them when I get free plays on DraftKings or FanDuel. They promote a free parlay bet. Oh yeah, I'll do like a 7-8 teamer that pays a lot of money. I don't win, but I don't lose because they're free bets. I just don't believe in parlays. I mean, if you're way up in the money, you're on a hot streak and you want to throw a little extra money and see if you get lucky, great. But I wouldn't recommend it. It's really very cool.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, and that's been my experience. Like I shared with you, my one parlay win was at the dog track. My third bet, I won. I've never won one since. So,
You probably went back that many times. So.
Well, no, I haven't because I kept losing. So, the fun was gone. The thrill was gone for me on that. So anyway, that's good stuff. Thanks for the open on that. Let's talk about the NFL. The season's getting ready to kick off here. What's your thoughts?
Actually, I'll tell you one thing about the NFL. I absolutely am excited that this can be about it. I make almost all my money on sports betting on the NFL. I'm actually doing a little bit more. Can we just kind of go through the schedule, talk about the games?
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Break them down. So basically, I typically, when I come to it's only our third podcast, the first couple I kind of prepared, had some notes. NFL today, I did not walk in and say, okay, I'm gonna break down these games and have all my notes to break them down. I'll walk people through the process. So I cheated a little bit 5 minutes before to kind of see what the lines were. And the games that stood out to me, honestly, it was interesting, right? On football alone, there's not that many games, 16 games a week. You got 3 primetime games where the handle is very large. Handle meaning the amount of money on the game is very high, which means the lines are a little easier to read in terms of which side the public's on, which side the sharps or the pros are on. And so it's funny because, I expected I'd go to the Chiefs game tomorrow night. I was thinking that the majority of people would be betting on Kansas City being the Super Bowl champs. And they're not. Actually, it's the other way around. It's actually 57% are on Detroit, which kind of surprised me. What's also more surprising is that the line dropped from -6.5 to -4.5. So that 57% has moved that line 2 points. A month ago, I kind of took a peek to see this game. And it was at 6.5. It was like, I think 65% Kansas City. I was loving it. I was like, at 6.5, they're trying to bait you into betting them. Thinking, okay, got the Super Bowl champs, 7 points, and touchdown wins the bet. This line's kind of goofy. I wouldn't go nuts on it. I personally still think Detroit probably would be the bet, but I would not bet this game. It's a Thursday night game. I probably won't touch it. I'll show you a couple games I like, and I'd like to spend more time to go through these one by one with the people on the followers or the people on the YouTube. But I need to definitely jump down to a couple games I really like. So I was looking through this. The actual games that actually are also the primetime game are the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. And so I was looking at this a little bit ago, trying to see where there were some games. And again, it's funny because I look for things like reverse line movement, baiting the public, and I look for teams that are getting points at home. There's certain things I look for. So the Jets would be the one that I think is a good example of this one. The New York Jets, a home team at 42%. Buffalo's a good team on the road. The public loves the bigger name team. They love the high offensive teams, right? But the one thing I know for a fact without ever having a political tool in my life is that when the team's +1 or +2 or +2.5 in football, 65 to 70% of the time, I'm pretty convinced. I'll know this with the data after this year's over. I'll have the data before I'll be able to, break it down. Okay. But I know for a fact that these teams that are getting like 1 or 2 points are really the favorites. I bet Florida State on Sunday night when I was down in Tulsa with my girlfriend for the weekend. Looked at the line, saw that Florida State was getting like 35 or 40% of the bets. I saw they were home team getting 1.5. I was giddy as shit about it. I bet $300. They won by like 20. Football, there's certain baseball you can't see run lines always 1.5. But football you can kind of see which way the sports books wants the average novice better to bet. You can use that to your advantage. So I guess the point of there is I love the +2.5. I like the home team, prime time, Aaron Rodgers, good quarterback. The model likes it. Obviously, the Hassan model likes Buffalo, but the Hassan model's there for its own reasons, not for mine. And one more game I'll break down, then we'll take some calls or get some feedback if these guys want to ask some questions. Look at this one, Dallas. Started off as a 3.5 point favorite. Only 43% of the people are betting on Dallas. You have the line drop. The line should have anything be going from 3.5 to, actually, I might be able to do that one backwards. Let me think about this. They actually have the Giants at 57% going from 3.5 to 3. So I guess the line didn't go reverse line movement. I read it the first time. Again, I sit down quickly. But I love these games where you get the plus, 2.5 plus 3.5. What is the difference? A plus 2.5, they're guiding you in sports, but almost cheating you into believing that Buffalo by 3 Sunday. Over here, the Giants are plus 3.5. Now, let's just say it's the 3.5 still. They're almost trying to get it at home. They want the public to bet the Giants. I guarantee they're guiding that bet on some level, knowing the average better goes, oh my God, the Giants were good last year. Daniel Jones had a good year. The coach was rookie of the year. I think he was close to it if he wasn't coach of the year. They're home, prime time, Dallas on the road.
Yep.
You got to see kind of through how the sports books are framing these bets. When you get the data to back it up on the analytics, run the splits and reading the lines, that's great. What BetGadget does is we take all of that plus the team stats, which we'll have next week. Once the first week is done, we'll be able to look at the results and see how the analytics look after 1 week and compare that to how we did.
And that's probably a good point to bring up for people that are looking at the tool right now. This is all fresh data for this season. So no games yet, no data yet, just a little bit of preseason stuff. So that the analytic points will begin to fill in after we get a week of football.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we started building this tool back in February with the first version done in March. And as you know, obviously you can't pull historical data if you don't have historical data. So we're going to have the data from the first week to the last week. The next we'll have season to season. You can do analytics from month to month, year to year, week to week, whatever you want, day to day. It's there. Yeah. But you got to build the tool, collect the data, ingest it, store it. That's where we're at.
That's pretty exciting to see this fill up. I'm ready to go for NFL this year. This is going to be fun. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions or anything they would like to bring up, go ahead and throw it into the chat if you want. We have to address anything that comes up. Won't be super long on these podcasts. Just kind of come on in, talk about stuff, see what's going on from week to week, the information that's happening, what models are working. What about the contest last week?
We started the contest. We started the contest officially yesterday, day 1. It goes from Tuesdays to the following Monday, which kind of lines up with football. So today is basically, we can look back. I guess I can pull it up right now. We go to baseball. And I pull up the games, and of course, I should say of course, but look who's up first. I'm kidding. Actually, yeah, the model actually in here is really more for analytics than it was supposed to be for betting. It's interesting. But here's the thing: if I win this thing with one of these models, I'm not going to take the prize. I will make sure it goes to the actual user, the next one now. Which again, my models haven't been crushing it the last few weeks anyway, so I'm a little surprised this one bounced up. But it's 24 hours one day.
Yep.
But we'll run it this week on baseball. I think next week, I mean, we'll do NFL. NFL's where people are going to get excited. Honestly, we'll probably bump it from 50 $50 to $100 over time and do things to make it interesting. But the really cool thing is, as we continue to evolve the platform, people are not going to win money by being in the rankings. They're also going to show that they're good at their models. And then people are going to come in and be able to not only request your model to get better predictive confidence, but actually ask you to buy your model. So if you build a model for over-unders like Tracks or Business or Crown, these guys are very good at it. They come on here. Those guys are building models. I mean, I would pay right now for those models. I mean, those guys are hitting models at 65%, almost 100 games over, what, 45 days or something.
That's amazing.
I mean, those people sell us for a lot of money. Do the same thing. These guys are doing it based on pure data. We can buy the model, apply it to the game, see the confidence, decide for yourself. That's the power of this tool. Is they build a community, and they can collaborate. They can take the model. If you can make it so you can do the tracing piece. Some of these aren't set up that way. We change this model actually really quickly. So here's an example. When you share a model, I can share with you, Brian, but say I don't want to share. Actually, I'll even go here and edit the model, show you the settings. You have sharing right here. These are people I've shared the models with, the settings I've done. There's more than that. But anyway, they can set the trace. The trace is pretty cool. I'll show what that is in a minute. The view kind of as well, the edit. So go back to the games. What's really cool is you don't, sometimes you don't want, if somebody's going to pay you for your model, you may not want to show the formula. So they can copy it, sell it, also kind of give away your secret sauce. What you can do is you can say, I don't want to view it, so you cannot be able to see the edit of the model, so you can't really look at the formula. You can just use it to see this predictive confidence. The thing we did is we can turn off the tracing. This is the trace right here.
Yep.
Honestly, somebody could probably figure the model out to start with the trace, right? They can say, okay, how many points do they have here? How many are possible? They can kind of reverse engineer and kind of figure out what the model may be just off of the trace. You can turn the trace off. You also have an edit button, so I can send it to you. I can send it to you with the edit button on. You can change my model because it's a shared model. It's not like I have a copy, you have a copy, we're going to say shared, kind of thing. So there's some controls there. It's pretty cool. Let's see what these guys are asking. Track says, let's go. I like it. What's Business saying on here? You better not win that contest if you bet. Actually, if I was going to bet, which I do bet, I'd probably bet on Tracks.
Nice.
So that's kind of that. I mean, here's the other thing about baseball. We kind of skipped through the last couple of weeks, and here's a couple of things I want to point out on baseball. People ask me a lot about that gadget, how it's doing, and how I'm doing. And you guys know this. You know me. I've said this quite a few times. I don't historically bet baseball. I put $500 into DraftKings in like June. And actually, it was amazing. I went 15-3 right after I did it. I was up like a good chunk of money. Then I lost like a whole bunch, like 10 out of 12 or 11 out of 12 or whatever it was. It was bad. Then I ended up spiking one like 6 in a row. That kind of leveled out to 500. The point I'm trying to make is I don't really historically bet baseball, but by using this tool, that $500 went up to about $1,500 at one point, and now it's down to about 900 something. So I'm still almost doubled my money, and I'm not even doing great. I would just use the over-unders. Actually, I have an over-under model on here I was looking at earlier. It's hitting the last week under 8.5 at 73%. So Trex, I'm coming for you. I need to spend some time on the over-unders. I'm gonna figure them out when I'm coming for you.
Uh-oh, game on, game on.
What do you think of that? I don't see him talking any smack on me.
There's a good delay there, so he's probably fidgeting right now. What?
Are you chicken walking on the keyboard, Trex? I'm kidding, bro. So that's interesting. But anyway, here's a couple of things too. I guess go back to baseball. I actually pulled up a couple different tabs, right? Look at this. I have the date from like basically the 29th to the 4th, which is kind of that last 7-day period. And then I turn around and looked at a 30-day window. And what I do is I try to get snapshots of different time intervals to see how the trends are changing. And it's really fascinating because like the one I just showed you, right? Go back to the 8.5. Actually, I'll do a different one. Let's do home team as a favorite. I was talking about how that was crushing me the last week. I was getting those plus or minus 120s, minus 130s. I was getting my ass kicked. Sorry to put one of those guys. The 11 and 18. But then I go back, home teams as a favorite. They've got to do better. Home teams as favorites have got to be winning more than others. Of course, maybe not units, but record-wise, they've got to be doing better. So I go and pull up this August 6th through the 5th of September and go back here and look at home teams as favorite. Home team is favorite, 56%, 118.92, but negative 21 units. Why? Because they're probably minus 180, minus 240, or right? So.
Yeah.
So
And that's
anyway,
important. You've been showing me that. That's helped me out a lot to take that evaluation of, what the cost of that bet is for the pay. If I'm paying, $2 to make one, well, that doesn't really help me out, especially when you lose. So that's been good information for me.
the thing is, I think I've really learned about baseball. I can tell you what, next year I'm excited about baseball because I think baseball, if you really want to make money, you gotta find the value bets, obviously, but it's really about just slowly grinding that bankroll upwards over time. You can't, in football, I get some big handle games. I really like I'll bet a lot more. So I don't do units in football. It's just where I would go. I'll bet 100, small, medium, large, 100, 200, 400 bucks. And it's interesting. We get into the end of the year, like last year, I was up, I don't know how many thousand, let's say 5,000. And the Chiefs came on, being a Kansas City person, and knowing the Chiefs and seeing that the public was on Philadelphia. I got like $3,000 on $5,000 on that one game. There's a lot of house money. And the thing is, when you play with house money, it's so much easier to be aggressive. Of course, the thing is, when you're winning, like you're playing blackjack or something, press. It's when you're on a streak. But when you lose, don't increase your bets. That's till back up, don't do it, right? So there's a lot of cool things to learn. There's a lot to it, but it really comes from a lot of it's gut instinct too. So, do you have any questions from these guys?
Anybody got any questions out there? Feel free to jump in and add them into the chat there. We'll be able to pick them up. It takes us a second or two. There's a little bit of a delay from when we're talking here. Probably about almost 10 seconds or so before it gets out.
Well, let's play the NFL for a minute while they're doing that. You guys want? We got some time, right?
Yep.
So let's see. Let's just go through these. Just no analytics, just reading the lines. The Passan model, I don't know how it got to 37-0, but I would bet against that every day of the week, 3 times on Sunday. You got the public on Detroit. Obviously, the line has dropped from 6.5 to 4.5. Is Kelsey Hurt influencing the line? I don't know. It could be. I know last year in the Super Bowl, Mahomes was possibly injured. That line moved back and forth a few points for a couple weeks, or whatever the amount of time interval was. Business says I've already asked all my questions. Ask your questions. We didn't see your questions. Maybe they didn't show up, and maybe something else is going on. So anyway, the point of this one was Kansas City would say that's the Sharps, but the 2-point movement here kind of mitigates or kind of offsets that. So this is a very hard game to bet. I don't know that I would bet this game personally. I'm going to the game, so I'd like to, so I don't cheer about, but I don't think I can. Then you get into the next game. I told you about the whole line at 3.5. Man, Carolina on the road, getting 3.5. The Passan model, for some reason, likes about 18 to 12. I don't understand the formula of the Passan model. It's beyond my math skills. But we'll talk about the Kelly criteria here in a minute, I believe. But anyway, the Carolina, this one has a predicted confidence just based on the move. And that, let me show you the model. This is a betting the public reverse line movement model. So I'll just show you what this model looks like. Once it comes up. No, I have the wrong model. And then I go back to the game. Sorry about that, guys. Let's go to analyze, reverse line movement, betting the public. What I do is, this is a very simple model. I'm saying, okay, if the split is 0% to 20%, we got some questions maybe coming in. So, then we got 20% to 40% at 30, and then basically 40. So basically, anything under 50% is getting points. 20 to 40 is kind of that sweet spot. I don't like the 41 to 50 necessarily. And I don't like the heavy tilts, the heavy splits. So I'm kind of hitting that sweet spot. And then over here, what I'm looking for is reverse line movement where the line's going the wrong direction. If there's no movement, it's forward, regular, I just ignore it. I should probably make that a negative value. Actually, I'll do that right now. Make that negative 20. But going back to the games, so we go look at Carolina, that we were just talking about. Getting 3.5, the sportsbook at 3.5, they want you. They want more bets than even have the money on both sides, so they're adding a little bit of betting on Carolina. You can see that the Sharks are following that, knowing that they get 3.5, which is a little bit concerning. That should not really be that way. So this is probably another game where I would get really excited about it. Go to Washington, the Passan model 29 to 10. Interesting. 7 points is a hard one. I like the 6.5, the 7.5. It tells me a little bit about what the sportsbook is trying to guide. So if I put 7, I go down here and go, okay, Arizona. The Sharks are on Arizona getting 7 points on the road. Arizona is probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. The public knows this. This is where people make their bets based on what they believe, their knowledge of the team, not based on their lines. I'm here to splits. The other game, I personally wouldn't touch it if I was forced to touch it. Washington's not exactly a stellar team either. I'd take the 7 points, follow the bigger money on the side, but I would probably bet it for a unit. I would go crazy. Cincinnati, Cleveland. Here's a game that's interesting. You've got Cincinnati, which has Burrow, Chase, and Mixon, and all these studs. -2.5 on the road in conference. Conference games are also very important. Think about the times Kansas City plays the Raiders or Denver tough. They're not supposed to be tough teams.
Yep.
Conference games are a factor. So you look at that and you say, okay, Cleveland's at +2.5 or Cincinnati's over here. Well, the 2.5, they kind of want you to bet the team that's favored. Cincinnati on the road feels like a trap game in conference. You can see Deshaun Watson's had a whole offseason, no more back massages, right? No more problems with the ladies. He's probably focused. But again, the public's on Cleveland. What do? I personally wouldn't touch it.
No,
See where I'm going with these?
I would agree with you on that.
It's a trap game, but it's also the lines don't read it that way. The sharps are kind of still thinking they're going to cover. So, but these lines, here's the thing: it's what, Wednesday. The lines are going to move. And here's the thing too: I've had a lot of times. We do on baseball this year where I'll do the videos. I'll send them out. It'll be a reverse line. It'll be a heavy lean on the sharps. That's like 10 o'clock in the morning. By 5 o'clock at night, the lines have moved. The other team's up. There's no longer reverse line movement. So these are based on today. So don't watch me kind of walk you through these games and make a bet today. I think it's going to be relevant on Sunday at 11:30 or 11:45 in the morning.
But the conversation regarding why you look at those numbers and
Yeah.
how you're looking at that on the road 2.5 point conference favorite, but you just take a look at that. That is important information right there on the way the game is going to be played.
Yeah.
What the items are in games with the two teams, home, away, conference, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you're really kind of trying to read the lines to get a feel for where the public is at, where the professionals are at, and it's counterintuitive. It really is counterintuitive. And so a lot of times it's almost like you're betting against your better judgment in a way. If you didn't look at baseball today, I took 2 dogs today. It's a little bit hard. Like what I bet Miami and I forget what the bets were at. Miami and somebody. Let's go look at the games without kind of cheating. You guys can hang on. Let's see. I'm kind of making the point here. Miami. I was struggling against the powerful Dodgers on Miami at +120. They're at 9-1. Your heart, common sense says the better team with a better record, the better players, the better pitchers should win. But what I learned about baseball is, everybody's winning 40 to 60% of the games, except for the Kansas City. There's a couple outliers, but the majority of teams are around 500.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking for back. But man, that was a good one. So I think I had Detroit. Well, Detroit was up 1-0. Now they're down 3-1. That was +142. And again, that's still early, bottom of the fourth, down 2. But it's counterintuitive. You would think the Yankees at home, all the power and the big names against the lowly Detroit Tigers, which can't really compete with Kansas City, which is terrible. But it's baseball, and these teams still they just look at their records. We looked out here tonight. You've got Angels, which 20 games. That's a little bit more lopsided, but 77. They're going to win 40 to 50% of the games, 40 to 60% on both sides all season long. Just betting plus money games all season long. You can find the right combination. That's where the tool kind of comes into play. So anyway, going back to NFL. We'll do a little bit more NFL. Let's see if there's any more questions. Houston, Baltimore, let's scratch that one. Jacksonville, Indianapolis. You got the new rookie quarterback, +5 points. Indianapolis basically getting a home team against Jacksonville. It's not a game I wouldn't touch. I mean, the public loves Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's a good play. The line scares me. I don't agree with the public. I stay away. Another game I completely and utterly confuses me is Pittsburgh. Again, these lines will move, so I won't even really worry about it until Sunday morning. Pittsburgh's gone from +2.5 down to like +2. 71% of the money's on Pittsburgh, so that should move that direction. But how is it possible that these guys, all these young guys, that barely got 500 against the almighty San Francisco? I guess it's a road game. Man, I guess Purdy's also pretty young as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I would almost have to bet Pittsburgh, but that's a hard one to do as well. I mean, all these games are pretty tough right now. Minnesota, love Minnesota over Tampa, but you know what? Tampa's going to play them tough. It's NFC. It's going to be a run game. It's going to shorten the clock. 50-50 on the bets. That tells you a little bit about it too. -6. They're kind of trying to get you on Minnesota. I'd probably go Detroit. Or I'm sorry, I'd probably go Tampa. The confidence is identical. That might as well be a point toss.
Yeah.
Tennessee, New Orleans, two teams that are probably going to be under 500 all year. You're going to bank on the home team. Derek Carr versus Tannehill. Oh my God. Talk about two guys I don't want to bet on, period. But if I had to, the public is on Tennessee getting the 3 points. This is not a bad game, actually. New Orleans -3 at home looks like a pretty good game. The numbers are strong. It looks like the line, we're getting what on our trace here? We're getting the split range of 24% in that 20 to 40% range. So it gets 30 points. And then the spread direction is no movement, which is 15. So 45 to 65 is a pretty good chunk of the confidence. Very simple model, by the way. And then you got Chicago, Green Bay. I love +1s, especially at home. This is not a home game. And I love Fields, but I also don't know Jordan Love. I might stay away from that. You got the Rams. Seattle. I love Seattle in this game. You got the home team, 5.5 or 43%. But we'll watch the line, see where they go. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. This is kind of what I do on Sunday mornings. And I will put out a video on baseball probably tomorrow, breaking down the Chiefs game for a minute, which is not going to be a lot of data, so maybe I'll wait till next week for the Thursday game. But Sunday morning, I will probably pick 2 games. And maybe do one on Monday for Monday Night Football, kind of breaking down the data so people can kind of see what the metrics say. So that's pretty much it. I mean, honestly, we haven't even started football. We don't have a lot of analytical data for football. Next week, we can really hammer through this and have some fun.
Yeah, and that's one of the neat things about football because, you know, your team last year is not the same team that it is this year. It's so competitive on those rosters and the trades, the moves, all the injuries, all the things that take place. It's very dynamic. And while you may think you're loaded for bear, you can turn out to be loaded with bunnies. Then you've got the other ones where the team is a complete sleeper and comes out and just kills them. So that's the fun of the NFL.
There's so much parity.
Yeah,
and every year it's a different bunch of teams. And there's also good teams that are really good. But I'll tell you what, in football betting, I always struggle through the first probably 4 to 8 weeks because I kind of break it even. I'm kind of being surprised by some teams. That's like that season I just got nuts. Because football is predictable. It's more predictable than baseball. You got to get kind of into the season and kind of see the trends and follow the numbers.
Absolutely. So kind of be up on what's happening with each one of the teams.
Yeah. So that's that. What else do we have on our list? There's a couple other questions I thought you guys wanted to go through. New features. A couple things we talked about doing, we haven't done yet. One thing I've been talking to the kind of lead developer, the guy, the brainiac behind all the tech, is maybe having some sort of like indicator when a reverse line movement is on a game before the game, like maybe the last 2 hours, having like RLM or some sort of indicator, especially on football. Because I always want to, the first thing I do is look for basically reverse line movement. So I'm kind of scrolling through here. So I'm looking to see where the bigger money is shifting the line in the wrong direction. I'd love to see that right away. So maybe some sort of logo, some sort of indicator that there is a reverse line. Yeah. So people can see that.
Draw your attention to it a little bit quicker.
That's one thing. The other thing I was thinking about doing, I think would be really cool. I'd love to know what you guys think actually, they're watching or listening, is because here's the thing. I make a lot of money on NFL, not just picking the games, but betting live bets. And live bets are fascinating for 2 reasons. I'm not betting on the game at all. I can see, let's say, a team that was favored by 3 is all of a sudden down 21 points. Another team 17 instead of being favored by 7. The average bettor goes, "Oh my God, they were supposed to win. They can't believe they're not going to win. But they just got to stay within 2 touchdowns." They double that. That tilt is horrible. That people get crushed on tilt. I bet against the guys that are. I paid that. I go the other way. And I'll tell you what, it makes me a lot of money. What's even better for me is when I actually already betting against them. And then I see they're on tilt, and I go, well, I'm already going to win the first bet. I'm also double that. Double my bet.
Yeah.
If I lose, I get nothing. If I win, I double my bet. Love to do that. So I love live betting. So the point about that feature is, I told him, I said, why don't we put a tilt button on the teams so they can come up and watch the games that are going on and be aware if you're basically going to try to jump back in and bet with a tilt, which is a red flag, or stay away. Which I'm not saying that tilts don't come back. These guys do. Mahomes is notorious for being on a team that's, coming back in behind.
Yeah, he would be bad. Bad if he doesn't against on that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that we're gonna do in terms of kind of get some, because right now a lot of our users, they come on, they look at the models, they make their baseball picks, and they're done for the day. We want to get a little bit more recurring traffic throughout the day, and with football, I think with the tilt button, maybe indicating the help, maybe we got like a barometer or something that says the level of tilt, based on the score
Where it's-
difference, and where the game it's at, so you can kind of say this is a heavy tilt, a small tilt. Because tilt's a relative term, right? So
Yeah.
how much tilt is really going on?
And I like the idea of the barometer.
Yeah,
Kind of moving back, gives me a visual percentage to kind of look and see what it's really doing. Is little tilt, medium tilt?
yeah, and it's gonna fluctuate based on time remaining and wind spread, right? So the bigger the spread, the less time remaining, it's gonna go heavy tilt, right?
How quick would something like that be refreshing to you?
That's a good question. I'd say probably every couple of minutes, whatever. I don't know if the interval is full of data on baseball, but I think it's less than a minute. I think it's like every minute.
So it's gonna be pretty accurate, real-time-ish as far as the line movements go.
What's funny about that is when I watch like an NBA or NFL, I sit on my couch like everybody watches sports like me. And I watch the live bets like this. I'm pretty much watching the live betting lines. I'm watching the game. And it's like watching a stock as you watch the company perform. And what's amazing to me is actually, like DraftKings is always ahead of my TV or my computer. I can almost tell you when the team scores before something happens. The line will go off, or the line will jump a whole bunch. My line just go from -3 to -7. Somebody's going to score a touchdown. And my friends think I'm like a genius. Like, I think they're going to score a touchdown right at foul now. Because I'm watching, I can see the line moving. They figured it out over a couple of years of watching me. Like you're up to something. Listen to your hand, right? When you watch them. But there's some really good ways. I mean, live betting is awesome too, because you're getting even more value. You can see like a sample size of the game, you get the flow of the game. Who's actually chasing their bet, who's actually winning their bet. I mean, what better than actually betting a game where you actually have a sample size and see the trend right on the game.
Right on.
Doesn't mean it won't change. You gotta still make a decision, but it works.
Sounds like it.
I like it. I think it's great.
So that's what you were always doing at the bar when you were watching. Now the clock thickens. Now I understand.
I don't go to the bar. No, I do. What else do you guys want to knock out here? So we got basically new product features. What is the Kelly criterion? I actually have notes here, fellows, so kind of things to cover. Kelly criterion. I didn't know that I could actually explain this because I'm not a super math nerd. What it really is for is it's basically used to help you kind of figure out what percentage of your bankroll to bet is kind of what it's intended for. But you can see here, here's the formula. I'm not going to you're probably bigger than me. You want to explain this?
No.
It's a formula we put on the product because we thought it was interesting and cool. It's there for kind of entertainment, like the Poisson model was something that also we did some research. We're kind of just playing, we're having fun with the tool. It's not like we're saying, hey, this thing is going to be predictable and give you guys some percentage of confidence to make money. This is things we're doing to kind of see what sticks. And honestly, the one thing I will say is I really would like to have people tell me what they would like to see the product do. I know they want college football. I know they want soccer, World Cup or whatever. I know those things are coming. But other feedback on formulas, tools, gadgets, whatever. Let's hear about it.
Yeah. Every time I turn around, you guys bring up something that I've never even heard of before.
Yeah,
Like the Kelly criterion.
Yeah, like the Poisson models and the other
Yeah.
thing. I think the Poisson model was something that was done by some Japanese guys who were trying to build a network of to beat gambling. And they actually proved it out. There's like a long paper. I took it on our Discord a couple months ago. Somebody asked me, what is the Poisson model? I was like, I'll tell you what, if you can't sleep,
Go read this.
print out a copy of the Poisson model, put it on your nightstand. You'll never have a problem sleeping. It's boring math stuff.
That hurts. It is. I can't do it.
I've started to read it a couple times. People can read that, all the more power to them. So, I think that's pretty much it. The promotion we talked about. What else have we talked about? We haven't got here. I mean, I guess the one thing I will say is this whole entire platform, this community, Discord, everything we're doing is really, honestly, we're just enjoying it. We have some pretty big plans, but honestly, it's just something we do for fun. We want the tool to be something you guys are proud of, using and like it. So feedback's welcome. Discord, we're very active. I talked to Aaron and Biz and Crown. am I forgetting? There's so many people that are really chatty, and I expect that community to grow a lot of football. We've not done a whole bunch of brand awareness kind of stuff yet, but we're going to really hammer it pretty good with football, improve the tool, grow the community, hopefully you guys make a lot of money so you can buy your girlfriend, your mom, whatever, Christmas gifts and spoil the shit out of them.
New Passan model hat.
Exactly. It's a Kelly.
Yeah.
I show you.
The Kelly criteria.
I'll get you a Kelly Criterion shirt. I'll get a Passan shirt. We'll wear that to these.
There you go. That's
probably nobody will show up then.
Yeah. And they can be modeled like on those tuxedo shirts, t-shirts.
That would be awesome.
We would be styled.
Wear that to the bar, see how you do.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have any.
No. I think that'd be going on.
So what else do we got here? Anything else we want to knock out, Brian?
I think we've covered a lot of these items. The biggest thing is we're going to continue to bring out more information each week on the podcast, and then hopefully we're planning on trying to be able to get some live events so we can get other people to come in and join us as well. So we're figuring out the different pieces of our technology to use to allow us to do that on a bigger scale, not just 2 or 3 people, but get a group of people to come on in and get some of our regular community members to come in and join and come in and be live with us as well on this. So that's coming up soon.
You know what I'd like to do actually next week? Let's do this next week. Let's actually build up. Let's get the analytics obviously after the first week's over. But we'll get on here and I'll build a model based on the analytics.
So next week is build the model week. It's like build a bear.
And then we'll apply it to the games based on the core current kind of trends, or I should say lines and splits and everything. But then we'll see the week after how we did. It's a little bit unfair to build a model. Guess we're building it based on historical data, not really on the current lines. So maybe it'll be interesting to see how that goes out.
I think it's a great idea. I'm excited to dive into the NFL season here.
Me too, and I love
It's
it.
so much fun. It's my favorite sport to watch.
That's by far my favorite too.
I don't have anything else specifically on the list here. I think we've covered each one of the pieces. You got anything else?
No, honestly, I want to talk to the community. I want those guys to come on and tell me their questions. I want to build models with you guys. I want to share models with you guys. And when the laser users come on eventually, if they don't want to build models, they want to pay for them, you guys will get paid. And, we'll start telling the guys they're smart and how to make money.
There you go. So community interaction, new model building next week for the first run at the NFL. Let's take it for a spin.
I'm ready.
That's going to be exciting. So I guess we'll wrap this one up on Beyond the Odds podcast is in the books. Episode 3. Ta-da. Thanks everybody for joining.
Bye, guys. I just